We've made it, folks. We kind of made it last week because we had a handful of games for week 0. Question is, how many of you all watched every second of that Iowa State, Kansas State game? Patrick and I were doing a fantasy football draft. I went back and watched it, but we're here. It's week 1 of the college football season. We're doing a lot of banner, a lot of talk about the upcoming year, but it's here, and man, do we have some games. I'm kind of numb to it, Patrick. I'm kind of numb to, like, this week's been a numbing experience because it's like I'm excited, but I'm so excited that I'm just numb to it. I'm just like, it's just here. I don't know what, like, the anticipation for the summer and the Field Still magazines and reading this and the depth chart and all that stuff. The hay's kind of in the barn because, I mean, there's live football, college football tomorrow as we record this on a Wednesday. And then, of course, Friday, there's a big game for a lot of people in this state, great state, as Auburn takes on Baylor and Alabama's in action. And you got 1 versus 3. I know you have to be excited. Listen, I feel like this is your second year. You're fully immersed in college football now. Now, your takes are ridiculous, but you're in it now. Do you feel better about the college football season this year than you did going into it and watching it with 100% of your undivided attention?
Yes. I think that I have allowed myself to be talked into some things over the offseason that I necessarily don't believe. Like, this Florida State-Alabama game is going to be an actual game. I've let you talk me into the fact it might be close. I think Bama now, on the cusp of a couple days out, I think they're going to run away with this one. So now I'm coming back to my convictions, as we've had too much talking, and I've frothed back and forth. Now I'm setting my ways. I picked Alabama last year to win the national championship. Did not work out for me.
You doing this again?
I picked Jalen Milroe to win the Heisman. Did not work out for me.
They didn't work out.
No, I don't think I'm going to pick Bama again. Yeah. I think they will make the playoff this year, though. I do believe that.
I will concur. However, there is monster news as we record this, like as I mentioned on the Wednesday.
I was about to say, not good news.
It is not good news. So maybe one question for Alabama heading into this year is what type of pressure with an odd or even front could they generate with their defensive line? And man, did it take a hit today? Sources or reports, Bregman Murphy from On3's reporting that Tim Keenan III is going to be out for multiple games. So basically, when they say multiple, I'm thinking a significant amount of time with an ankle injury. When you hear tightrope surgery with said ankle for a man that size on the defensive line, that is a problem. So they won't have him. You're going to kind of now lean on guys like L.T. Overton to kind of pick up the slack there. But a concern for Alabama fans as far as generating pressure now really takes a monster hit as you prepare to head on the road to Florida State. Injuries are already bad, but injuries are really, really bad when you're counting on starters for your team heading into Saturday.
Yeah, not great news
No.
For a defensive unit that was, I think, sometimes shaky at best last season, and there's still some question marks coming into the Bama defense this season. So, yeah, not what you want to hear. I do just think offensively they just have too many weapons. And if they need to get into shootout with teams, I think they're going to be able to do that. But I think, honestly, the Bama offense is going to be able to run the football at will, control a lot of these games. I think you're going to see that
Are we
Saturday.
sure they can run the ball at will?
I think so. There's just too much talent on that offensive line for them not to be able to do that, I don't think.
Here's my I've been thinking about this for the last 48 hours relative to the start of the football season. Assumptions and actuality is what I'm going to go into as we head into this year. The assumption is, and we'll start with Alabama. The assumption is it's Alabama. Talent across the board, some unproven, some young and remotely proven, i.e. the defensive backfield. God, they got like 8 guys back there that can go to Xavier Brown and Damani Jackson and the whole. They're outstanding on the back end. You hear Ryan Williams' name, and you hear transfers, guys that can come in from the wide receiver position that can help them. Ty Simpson starting a first true start there. You know, there's just assumptions there, but there's no Jam Miller. I think many offensive line folks that know that position think that Parker Brailsford is the best center in the league, or arguably in the country. We don't know if Richard Young can carry the load. We don't know if this is a running back by committee. My biggest concern with Alabama coming in is just winning. And what I mean by winning is like winning your one-on-ones. If I'm Florida State, I'm asking Ty Simpson to flat out beat me. I'm trying to put him in third and 6, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 7, and you actually going and making throws. So the big question is on the flip side today is defensively for Florida State. What are you going to do to kind of manufacture some sort of pressures, or just win your one-on-ones? There is assumptions. Assumption goes back to the assumption. 2-10 is all people are thinking about with Florida State. Anyone that watched even just one of their games last year, you can look and see the talent there on the football field. You can't just assume because you're 2-10 a year ago with said talent coming in this year that this team cannot be drastically better and or win the game. Does Carl have the courage of his convictions to believe that Florida State's going to win the game? I do not. However, if someone tells me and I go in a time machine and I go to Monday and they say, hey, man, yeah, Florida State won the game, I'm not going to be surprised. If you're an Alabama fan, you should be absolutely scared, you know what list. Like, period. Because of the unknown. You just don't know, and it's week 1. There's assumptions that Ohio State, because it's Ohio State, that Ohio State's just going to roll the ball out. Let's just roll it out. Hey, it's just Ohio State. They lost everyone last year. Like, how are we? Yes, okay, yes, they've won the recruiting battles in on top of the recruiting rankings in 247 Sports in Rivals. But you don't know. Their starting quarterback, who was at Alabama a year ago, Julian, saying, yes, you're a 5-star guy from California. You've thrown 22 passes, dude.
And how many 5-star guys from California have we seen not pan out in college football in recent years?
That's great. But I don't know what that looks like, especially when I'm not playing insert guaranteed win number 1 U. Like, I'm playing the Texas Longhorns that has guys that can get after your behind. And I'm just, once again, I just like reading assumptions and then reading tea leaves and then actuality. All I've been listening around to some of your beat writers around in and around that program in Columbus. That quarterback battle with the second guy was tight could be. It was a tight contest there for the starter. And all I know is there was mumblings and rumblings around that pressure got to Julius saying a ton in practice. Not ideal when you got Anthony Hill Jr. On that opposite end and guys that can flat out get after your butt. And I got a safety back there that can man the back of the secondary back there. Flip side, the Uniter of Nations. We've talked about them all summer. If there's ever a player that college football and the public want to do well, is none other than Arch Manning. Who the hell blocking for him? Do we know what this offensive line looks like? I don't. Anyone that tells you that they do, you're lying because you don't. We don't know. Is he going to be upright on Saturday? I don't know. We don't know. If he is, look out. They're probably going to win by 10 to 13, 14 points. I'm picking Texas. I think they're going to win going away because I just believe that they have more guys that have played more quality football and been in said spots over Ohio State. Hey, I will be the first to say here on Monday, if Ohio State, they got dudes and they got the 2 best players in college football. If he goes nuclear and goes for 15 balls for 175, which is possible, and if Caleb Downs is doing his thing and all these other guys that we have no clue about, that we know only from Rivals and 247 Sports and On3's Sports ball out, you got me. I have a hard time believing that's going to happen. It's just, I know we're excited. I know we're super pumped, and everyone should be. The assumptions of teams, it's just what facing reality is my biggest concern. We discussed Alabama and we discussed that game. I am just very interested to see how this game starts. We had an opportunity to hear earlier this week here in local TV land from Kalen DeBoer. Kalen discussed it is imperative that his team starts fast. The last thing that you want to do is have Ty not comfortable enough to be able to settle into that position. I think that he's going to have more than enough time to be able to fight through any type of bad plays that he has early on in this game, unless it gets just off the skis completely, and then they move in another direction and go to Austin Mack, who I think is going to be the backup there, followed by Keelan Russell. But let's just be real here. There's no one that can say we don't know what Florida State looks like relative to an offseason when no one's watched practice. Practice has been closed. All we know is they got Tommy Castellanos and some quality guys that have an opportunity to do some really nice things. I also find it hard to believe they're not going to the postseason this year, Patrick. Mike Norvell's too good of a coach relative to what that looked like last. Like we just, once again, 2-10. Anybody remember what they did 24 months ago? And I get it, transfer portal, understand it. We don't know what the marriage looks like with Gus Malzahn and their and his style of play relative to Mike Norvell, because they're different. Anybody from a schematic standpoint has watched Mike when he was in Memphis, and now and what Gus likes to do, it's completely different. I just want everybody to just hold the phone. If you look in this game and this game is tight, or this is getting away from Alabama, no one should be surprised. Don't get mad at Kalen DeBoer and be pissed off. Right? This is just what this is. You're not playing. You don't have a guaranteed win in week 1 on the road with a first-time starter at quarterback. Do I believe Ty Simpson can play? Heck yeah, I do. Do I believe he has awesome, his trio of wide receivers are just as good as anyone in the league. With Ryan Williams and Horton and Jeremy Bernard, they're fantastic. But running the ball would be imperative. It'd be great if we have Richard Young or some sort of trio of those guys being able to run the football to kind of help him. But just the assumption that oh my gosh, Florida State's gonna get the doors, and they very well could. And hey, you got me. But some of these big games, I'm like, man, men, women, children of all ages, what? There's a lot of question marks here. And moving forward, Patrick, the other question mark is we have to transform and recondition our minds to what college football is now. What you see in week 1 is not what you're going to see in week 4 for good, bad, or indifferent. Because you know why? Everybody understands with this 12-team playoff, gone are the days of people going undefeated and having just one loss. This will probably be the first year we have teams with 9-3, multiple teams that go to the playoff. I just want everybody to be excited. We're super happy. We love that college football is back. But 1 game, 2 games are not going to define what ultimately is the goal, and that's to get into the college football playoff.
So you mentioned question marks with Texas, Alabama, Ohio State. Yep. What team do you have the least amount of question marks for this season? Is it Penn State?
Penn State and Clemson. And
is it just because they're returning so many starters? Yeah,
listen, there's something to be said, Patrick, when you've done it before. That entire Clemson team played in the playoff last year. They have done this before. Whatever you may feel about Clay Klubnik and his trajectory, which I think was magnificent, how he was able to continue to improve from his first year as a starter to the next year heading into this year. We know what Peter Woods is defensively for Clemson. An absolute game wrecker. He can wreck your whole game plan up front. And he's got 4 or 5 other guys on their defensive line that can just do the same thing. You know how I feel about Sammy Brown. I love that kid since he was recruited out of Georgia. The back end, question marks there. They got a safety that's, a lot of people like him as a highly touted guy, but he's been nicked up, Patrick, hamstring. Listen, once again, assumptions. It's Death Valley, quote unquote, the real Death Valley. However you want to look at it, it's at night. The game's going to be played there. Great. Who's to say if LSU, with 4 of their guys now off to the National Football League on the offensive line, what if they can protect Garrett Nussmeier? What the hell are you going to do? Does LSU have better receivers today? Their guys over Clemson? I'm taking LSU's wide receiver core today.
They also have a history of just fantastic wide receiver core,
right?
In the past, just 5 years.
People want to call it wide receiver U, whatever it may be, but they got guys that can go. Anderson is like, yes, the reason why we're not talking more about him is because he's kind of diminutive in size, like he's shorter. But if he's 6'1", dude, we're talking about him like Jeremiah Smith and Ryan Williams and some of your better wide receivers in college football. He's just smaller. Barryon Brown is over there now from Kentucky. He can flat out run. And listen, you know how I feel about Garrett Nussmeier? It's just about A, can he stay upright, and B, like, will he get any kind of help running the football? That's the one thing that like LSU fans, I think, are even more frustrated about outside of Brian Kelly and not being able to win opening games. They have capable, talented running backs. And for one reason or another, Patrick, they do not want to run the football. I don't get it. You got a guy that legitimately could be the number 1 overall pick in the National Football League. To me, he's the best quarterback in the SEC, and I'm going to take him. He to me is the best quarterback in the country. That's me. This is me. If he is upright, but the things that guy can do, if you give him time, if you can just give him time on Saturday, nobody should be surprised if LSU walks out of there with a win. They walk out of there with a win because this is not any disrespect to LSU. There's just certain programs where I have like superlatives for. LSU is one of those programs, Patrick, that they're momentum based, but they're more of a front running type program. When it's going good for LSU, dog, just get out of the way. You can't stop it. You match that with the talent and all the things that they have. Like, good luck. I think Auburn is like a momentum based program. If they get a win on Friday. They're going to start 3 or 4-0 before Oklahoma comes to town before they travel to Oklahoma. They win that game, and when we know what is going to be an emotional situation for Jackson Arnold, and I got Georgia coming in into September. Man, what? Like, you could just see the trajectory of them just going to the moon, right? So I just go back to the least amount of questions. I think Clemson and I think Penn State have the least amount of questions because they have so many players that have been there and done that. I get that. Listen, if Riley Leonard, for all things considered, was returning for Notre Dame, I would be hard pressed for anybody not to pick them 1, 2, or 3 heading into this year relative to what they have returning. I get it. They are 0-6 since 0-6 in their last 6 meetings down in Miami Gardens or Coral Gables if they played the first 2 of those 6 games there. Whatever it may be. I don't know how long the Orange Bowl's been demolished. But they put it this way. They've got their brains beat in since they've been down there 6 times, the last 6 times. Now, 5 months ago, they were in that same building and advanced to the College Football National Championship game. Offensive line, defensive line, running backs, wide receiver room. The only thing that we have a question mark with Notre Dame with is we just don't know. CJ Carr's not throwing a college football collegiate pass in college yet. We don't know what that looks like. That goes well. You mean to tell me they can't win it? Like, I look at Miami. We look at Carson Beck. The assumption, it's Miami. Speed. This is the year. Mario Cristobal is recruiting at a high level. Offensive line is already one of the better units in the country. Who the hell's catching the football for them? We don't know. If they're relying on one of their true freshman guys to be able to, good luck. Isaiah Horton is got a Crimson jersey on now. He's not in Miami anymore. Who are they throwing to? We don't know what this looks like. If we are considering the offensive line unit to be really good for Miami and Notre Dame runs roughshod over, then what are you thinking? Well, if Miami comes out and they blow the doors off Notre Dame, they're going to get 2 teams in. I find it hard for Clemson not to be a team that's going to the college football playoff. So those are the 2 that have the least amount of questions to me. When you're watching these games this week, kind of squint your eyes a little bit and kind of just look and say to yourself, like, yeah, this looks, the assumption is it's Ohio State, or the assumption that it's Clemson, they're playing at home at night. The assumption is that Miami is at home and it's going to be rocking there. The reality is there's some teams out there that are better than what you may know or giving credit for, and you're going to see it on center stage, and you're going to look back on Monday and you're going to like, yeah, not what I had in mind coming into this football season.
And these teams are going to get a lot better as the season goes on as well. So even if Ohio State comes out and lays a goose egg against Texas, I mean, who's to say by the end of October, early November, Texas is on a slump and Ohio State's on an ascension going into December, going into playoff time? Like, to your point, what you were saying, these 9-3 teams, and we've seen this in the NFL, teams get hot at the right time. They make runs, and crazy things happen. I mean, the Giants have 2 Super Bowls with Eli Manning for that reason right there.
I'm going to take a long way around to get to my point. The very reason why college football has really exploded, and we can talk about all of the things off the field but outside of the lines. The reason why college football took off so much in the last 36 months is because the casual fan and even the normal fan of college football, not someone that's deep in the weeds like us, grinding, watching freaking Kansas and Fresno every play on a Sunday night as a degenerate watcher of football like I am. People now have an understanding of, they understand the structure of college football and how it works for the sport to name a champion. When I was growing up, Patrick, and I'm only 42, you know, like your family members and stuff can tell you, and people can tell you, dude, when I was growing up, like before 98, like many members picked the national champions.
Which is the dumb. If aliens ever visit the Earth and look at the history of college football, that is going to be one of the dumbest things that they ever look at. How about this?
Let's go a step further. Late 80s and early, and my uncles and stuff would tell me, but I was around, I saw this. Dude, okay, so you would have like the number 1 and the number 2 team play, and they play in the Orange Bowl, and they just consider that the national championship game. So then the game would be played, and then 3 or 4 would play, and then like you wouldn't know the national champion till the next morning. Like the AP crowns, and like, oh, you're the national champion. Like what?
I think no national champion. We should get away with all the national championship records, and I know Auburn just claimed like 7 of them. No national titles should mean anything before, what, 2009, 10, 11? When was the first 14 playoff?
14.
There we go.
But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the very reason why college football for such a long time was such a niche sport and a regionalized sport is because the entire country, this is my opinion, but I really believe this, the entire country couldn't understand, like, who's your champion? How do you decipher and determine a champion? Look at how much, like, the interest alone in college football is one thing, but it's just gained, it's increased, like, tenfold, because now I got a bracket, I got 12 teams, I can look and I can see who's in it. Yes, we can banter and and argue about who should be in, who should be out, but you're moving toward the train down the proverbial college football playoff track, because now I'm going to look and I'm going to say, okay, I can go undefeated, I can go 11-1, I can go 10-2, I can go 9-3, and there's going to be some years that you're going to see some 8-4s in there. But you're in the playoff, have at it, we got a champion. And it's going to, everyone can follow and understand it now, and understand like a structured national champion, much like the National Football League, where every year, you know, there's going to be a Super Bowl. And 2 teams are going to fight their way and earn their way in it, whether you got to buy home field advantage, you're a wild card, you got 4 losses, you're 7-6, whatever it may be, you're in. And I think that's the biggest thing that's hindered college football. So now, the quote-unquote old man shouting at the clouds, or the get off my line guy, we're in the process of rehabilitating like the minds and like transforming the brain to think about college football differently. Because all you knew for 50 years was undefeated, you're going to play for a national championship, or you're going to win a national championship. 1 loss, you have an opportunity to still have a chance. 2 losses, you were done. So now I'm going to play tougher opponents, the quote unquote insert a win by 100 team, they're gone. And now I'm going to go play people. And now I'm going to be incentivized to not only play these games, but if I could just play the game, win or lose, I have an opportunity to still take care of my business and get in with 2, 3, and eventually going to be 4 losses for me to get into the playoff. So like, I just think that everyone needs to recondition and understand, no matter what happens with Texas or Ohio State or Notre Dame or Miami or Alabama or Florida State or any of our big monster matchups this weekend, it does not matter in the grand scheme of everything. Would you like to win that game to be a kind of a quote unquote de facto tiebreaker if the rubber meets the road and you have to trim hairs? Sure. But ultimately, if Texas wins the game and they go 11-1 and lose to somebody else, are they going to playoff? Absolutely.
Yeah.
If Ohio State wins the rest of their games, they're going to the playoff. It does not matter. Notre Dame could split their games, or in my personal opinion, lose Miami and Texas A&M and win the rest of their games and go 10-2. They're getting in the playoff. They split one of these games and win the rest of them, they're going to the playoff. Miami wins, goes 9-3, 10-2, they're probably going to be in the playoff. So we're all just going through reconditioning our minds to understand that like 2 and 3 losses, all is not lost. That is going to be the norm. That's how they are structuring the world of college football. And it's okay. We're getting better quality games early in the year, blockbuster games, must-see brand name programs that are going to dominate Labor Day weekend. Perfect time before the NFL starts the next following week. It's perfect. College football, embrace this first opening week and have these marquee games during this week so you can kind of carry that momentum on as you make the run toward the playoff when those playoff rankings start being released in November.
And I think the argument against sort of all kind of expansion like this, particularly of the postseason, was like, oh, these regular season games aren't going to mean anything and people won't care. And I think it's exactly the opposite. Like this upcoming weekend, you'll see a headline Monday or Tuesday, like the most watched college football weekend cumulatively, like of all the last 25 years.
No
like,
question.
There's just huge matchups across the board. The American viewing public loves football in whatever kind of, from professional to collegiate down to the high school level, particularly where we're at. Like, we're just not going to ever have enough football, I don't think.
Ever.
So it's smart of college football to expand it. They should expand the playoff more. 20-something teams, 30-something, I don't care. Give more people a chance, an opportunity.
Now, slow your roll, Patrick. Now,
Let's do, what is it, March Madness is 68 teams?
Patrick, you trying to do what?
Yeah. Let's get, I think 20, 24.
Stop it.
24 is a good number.
No, just, we have to stop.
Or whatever gets you to that.
We have to stop. Like, if you do 16, that's
16.
enough. That's enough, dude.
It'll never be enough.
Because then 16, dude. Because then you're getting, like, I mean, FCS, which was many moons ago in the 80s and 90s, 70s and 80s and 90s was 1AA football, dude. Like that's now you're getting over. Like now 7-6 is gonna get you in potentially. No, we don't need all that.
We need all that.
No, bro.
Would you stop? Would you not watch? Of course you'd watch.
Yeah, I would watch. It's just like the NCAA tournament is about to expand again. Like why? It's weird for me because of the sample size of the season that 18 and 14 in college basketball can get you in, especially when you have, because now if you're 18 and 14, more times than not, you're those last 10 to 12, you're just filling spots, man. Like, and I don't ever want, the sample size is too small for college football unless you're going to expand it and go to 16, 17 games. And then you can have that, and you're going to have that anyway. I just think the sample size is entirely too small for you to give that many opportunities to teams if you're going over the 16 mark. But let's just be real. Like, this is a way for like your power fours to get as many teams as possible because, quote unquote, in air quotes, we're playing the toughest schedules, and that's theoretically true. But here's what I also need, Patrick. You're going to move to 16, SEC, Big Ten, everybody needs to play each other. Stop this. Bama, they got a home and home with Ohio State coming up in 27. Notre Dame has a home and home with Alabama in the next couple of years. Keep playing those games because you're getting incentivized for you to have an opportunity to be able to get into what's currently the 12, which will eventually be the 16-team playoff down the line. So if you're playing quality opponents, now SEC joins the Big Ten and Big 12 with 9-game schedules. Hey, by all means, have at it. I'm cool with it. Let's pivot because we had a cool conversation with On3's college football writer. He's been writing for a long time, Andy Staples. Met that guy a couple of years ago at SEC Media Days. Awesome dude. Works for On3 Sports. The On3 Sports owner, ironically enough, is from North Alabama. Shannon Terry, good dude as well. But no, I had an opportunity to talk to him. He does a daily show with another one of his counterparts there at On3. But man, we discussed a lot, Patrick. We discussed, of course, Alabama, Auburn. He has some bold predictions for Auburn, which are really, really good. I'm kind of in the same boat with him. We discussed some sleeper teams as well. But no, it was a really good conversation. We want to present that to you all to check out. Andy Staples from On3 Sports talking college football as we head into week 1 of the college football season. Well, listen, it's always awesome to have guests on the Take After Take podcast, a little local TV flavor from us, but we're going to do a little national with none other than On3's Andy Staples. Andy, listen, first of all, we got 7.5 viewers and listeners of this podcast, so we're trying to enhance the brand and have outside of mom, dad, and somebody in someone's basement to listen to this. So we decided to call and reach out to you to kind of get this going.
Appreciate it. I hope I can add my 4 3/4 to your 7.5, and we can really get something going.
Yeah, Patrick and I are just basically worth 2 red copper pennies, and that's all we got. So listen, Andy, of course, college football, we're here, man. Week 0, got a handful of games, and then, of course, week 0 next week. But obviously, with what you do and how crazy people are in our area with college football, a lot of topics to cover. Listen, AP came out, coaches poll came out. It's great fodder for us before we get into actual games on the field. We went through, Patrick and I, about teams that maybe had the least amount of questions, Andy. Mm-hmm. If I tell you Texas, Penn State, Clemson in no certain order have the least amount of questions, what say you?
I'd say you'd be right. I think Texas and Clemson probably of the two, but Texas with the offensive line being revamped. Now, some of those guys have played. Some of those guys have had to start, like Trevor Gooseby, who's the left tackle replacing Kelvin Banks. He had to replace Kelvin Banks at times last year too. But that's a big question, and they'll go play Ohio State, and we'll see how that looks. Clemson, you kind of know how they look everywhere. I'd say they're the one with the least questions. Penn State, we don't know how those transfer receivers are going to look, and really that's what it comes down to is, are they going to have dynamic receivers? You know, you go back to that Notre Dame game, that was 0 receptions from a wide receiver. You know, Tyler Warren was it. And so the question is that, you know, you get these transfers, you get Trevor Pena from Syracuse, you get Kyron Hudson from USC, you get Devontae Ross from Troy. Can any of those guys add to the passing game? Because I do think they'll still be fine at tight end. Luke Reynolds seems like the next kind of freak of nature that they have coming down the pipe. But they have everything else. Everything else.
We move towards some big news yesterday. So yours truly, maybe, sources say, reports say that I may have an affinity for a team in South Bend, Indiana. Can't confirm that, can't deny that, don't really know. I may have to reach out to you or Ari or Chris Lowe or someone to kind of figure that out. CJ Carr is named the starter in South Bend for Marcus Freeman. From all indications, the quarterback battle was crazy. Kenny Minchie appeared from all indications that he may indeed get the nod before they take on Miami. CJ ends up being the guy. My 2 cents, Andy, it's almost like maybe the competition was so close and maybe the deciding factor for Marcus Freeman and that staff, the long-term effects from CJ potentially being to kind of take Notre Dame over the top relative to not having a guy that could potentially, when needed, take you to unprecedented heights that you may have not have seen since 1988-89.
Yeah, CJ's the more dynamic thrower. That Kenny's the better athlete, and I think it depends on your situation. But Notre Dame's situation is pretty unique. They have the best offensive line in college football. They have the best running back in college football. So if you're going to pick a quarterback for that particular situation, you can err on the side of the guy with the better arm, the more dynamic thrower, because you don't need someone whose legs are going to have to get you out of trouble, because he's not going to be in trouble very often because they're going to protect him pretty well. And also, defenses have to be afraid of Jeremiah Love. So you could add the quarterback run threat to it, but don't worry, they're still going to respect your run game and have a bunch of guys in the box anyway. So I think that's where that situation helps. If this was a worse offensive line, if this was just an average offensive line, then Kenny Minchie may make more sense because he may have to get you out of trouble. You know, last year they had Riley Leonard, and what Riley Leonard gave you was essentially what Kenny Minchie gives you. And so the idea is maybe you get a little more out of the passing game. I do think we saw Jaden Greathouse at the end of the playoff really kind of take that step forward. Jordan Faison was kind of hurt early last season. I don't know if we ever got to see fully what he can do. And then they got a guy named Malachi Fields that they brought in from Virginia that they really like. So if suddenly that passing game can really stretch the field, now they don't have a lot of weaknesses. So that'll be interesting. But I don't think this was a smokescreen. Like, I don't think this is one of those deals where they pretended there was a quarterback controversy or they pretended that it was a tough choice. I think it probably was a fairly tough choice. So that also means if it's not quite working with CJ, maybe they do try a Kenny. Because you've got 2 games early, Miami and Texas A&M, that I think you probably can get away with splitting them, but then you can't have a Northern Illinois situation if you do that. You probably need to win. And if you win both of those, you're golden.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot. Listen, relative to the two deep on defense, it's almost like regardless of who that may be, it's kind of like don't mess it up. I know a lot of these guys had some turnovers. I know CJ had some turnovers in one of the last couple of scrimmages, but man, the defense especially the defensive line just looks ridiculous. Linebackers look crazy back in. So maybe just, less is more with them early on with those 2 big matchups. Okay. So with you being part of On3 and, kind of your 10 bowl predictions, obviously, Alabama and Auburn, big topics each and every day throughout the year here in the Yellowhammer State. You mentioned, we've read your articles and online, kind of predictions with Alabama and Auburn. Everyone is excited about the Tide and Tigers here. Give me the 2 bowl predictions that you have for each respective program and why.
Yeah, I'm high on both of them this year. We'll start with Auburn because I think this is the one that I'm kind of alone with this one, but I don't understand why I'm alone with it. I feel like this is more common sense than anything else. I said Auburn's going to win at least 9 games, and like right now, Auburn's the butt of every joke. They claimed national titles, that they weren't claiming before. That even Auburn fans were like, "Oh, come on, that's the thing we make fun of Alabama about." But get your jokes off now, because I do think they have a really talented roster. This is. Keldrick Falk, obviously, having one of the best edge rushers in the country is helpful, but that defense is going to be solid. The offensive line, when you've got a guy who started a full season and a half for you, and he's your 6th man, which is what Tutal is this year, like that's a big deal having that sort of competitive depth on your offensive line. And it's not something Auburn's had. It's not something Auburn's had very recently at all. And I think that's going to make a difference because this team actually ran the ball really well last year. Offensively, if you look at their stats, they were above average in just about every category. They were good in a lot of categories. They just had some truly crippling mistakes, turnovers from the quarterback position. If they can eliminate those, they're going to be in every single game, and they should be beating some really good teams. They should be capable of beating some really good teams. So I think 9-3, but potentially a playoff team at 10-2 or 11-1. I think they can be very good. It's up to Hugh Freeze not to mess it up. And I think he knows that. He's got to handle the quarterbacks differently than he handled Peyton Thorne last year. You've seen him in interviews where it feels like he's almost got the collar on that's going to shock him if he throws the quarterback under the bus. So I think he understands that. I'm fascinated to see that Baylor game because Baylor's a really good team. That's a tough opener away Friday night. That'll tell us a lot about Auburn, but I do think they have the roster to be a really, really good team. Now, my Bama prediction, I've evolved to this one because I think we did the way too early top 25, the one right after the season last year, and I think I had Bama out of the playoff again. And then I was through the spring just looking at rosters and looking at what everybody brings back. I'm like, wait, what am I doing? Bama's going to make the playoff. So I think I moved them to like number 7 or something like that. Well, the more I think about it and I look at the schedules and I look at the way things could shake out, like, you know what? I don't think the Vandy game and the Oklahoma game happened to them again this year. Well, if that happens, they're in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And if they go to Atlanta, it's maybe them in Texas. Like, am I sure Texas is that much better? I think I picked Texas as my national champ. You don't have to win the SEC to win the national championship. So I said Alabama's going to win the SEC. Now I make no promises beyond that. But that's going to be a top 4 seed. That's probably a number 1 or number 2 seed and a bye, which they changed the seeding rules this year. So the bye actually probably help you as opposed to last year where it might have hurt you. But I can't promise anything after that, because after that, I really do think there's probably 8 teams that once they get into the playoff, they can all win it. So, but I do think Alabama is going to be one of the more consistent teams this year. It really is going to depend on how good Ty Simpson is. If Ty Simpson is really good, they're going to be national title good. If he's okay to above average, they should still be playoff good. So it's just, it really is a matter of where he falls, because they have everything else.
And let me go back to Auburn really quick. I just think, being here for well over a decade now in this state, I am so fascinated relative to some of the other years with Alabama and Auburn, and following them each and every year in off season with this group, because it's almost like we are at a point with Auburn where it's almost, we've got to a point of no return as far as fodder relative to getting into the football season. It has gotten to the point where we're taking a 7-second clip from a 7-on-7 pass Skelly and Hughes going.
I love that clip so much.
Oh my God.
I loved it. The reaction to it online was my favorite, because it's like nobody's ever seen a coach get mad at football practice before.
Like, what? What the hell are we doing? Like, yes, okay, it's football practice. Have you all never seen a football practice before? I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, it's almost like we're going in this gigantic circle of who's calling plays. Who is it?
It's Hugh Freeze.
What are we doing?
Yeah. Well, just a little, like, when you have an offensive-minded head coach who calls the offensive plays, when they trot out the coordinators for interviews, they always try to dress it up like, because you have the title, you're doing something relative to the play calling. And of course, everybody is contributing to the game plan. Like the Russ Callaway at Florida, who's the offensive coordinator. Well, he doesn't call the plays. Billy Napier calls the plays. But when he does his interviews, he's talking about what he does for the game, which is true. They're very heavily involved in the game plan. And they are making suggestions over the headset while the game is going. All of that is happening. But the head coach calls the plays. So I laughed because it did make it sound like Auburn had different play callers on every down. Hugh Freeze calls the plays.
It's literally like last night I'm on the 10 p.m. doing the news, and I ran the clip where he's talking to Tiger Talk last night or 2 days ago. And of course they ask him, Andy asked Andy Burcham, for those that don't know, down there, who could play a quarterback. And he names Ashton and he names Deuce. And we're like, Jackson is playing, guys. Like, what? Like,
they brought him to SEC Media Days. Do you think that was an accident?
Like, what are we doing, everyone? They have one of the largest payrolls in all of college football, top 5, top 6. It's talent across the board. I get it. Baylor is fantastic. I am so intrigued with what Dave Aranda and everyone down in Waco will try to bring to the table a week from Friday. Long story short story long, I just find it hard to believe that Eric Singleton, Cam Coleman,
go on,
Keldrick Falk, Jay Crawford doesn't make a play early. Crowd's crazy. Everyone's and a monster play relative to what you bring to the table from a
and that place. I've covered games at Baylor Stadium. It's a wonderful stadium, by the way. It's one of the newer ones, very well designed, good sight lines everywhere, but it's not that loud. Yeah. Auburn players will be used to the noise. That will not bother them. They've played in much tougher road environments than this. They just need to worry about the team on the other side of the field, which is very good. Like Sawyer Robertson is an excellent quarterback. They got better as the season went on last year. They ended on a heater at the end of the regular season. So it's a good challenge, but Auburn is the more talented team. And that's where they're going to be in most of their games this year.
Listen, last year I picked them and everyone thought I was absolutely crazy. I thought that they could find a way to sneak in, win 9 or potentially, be an outside playoff team solely because I thought they would take care of the football and they had enough to to get that warranted a couple of games.
But taking care of the football thing just
right. That's the thing, right? I mean, legitimately, you take away 4 turnovers. What does that record look like relative to the perception of what all
exactly? I think it's probably an 8-win team if you take away 3 or 4 plays. But obviously that that matters both directions. But I think they can be significantly better. Jackson Arnold, I don't think got a fair shake at Oklahoma.
Correct.
Because the offensive line was bad. The offensive coordinator hire was bad, and they've corrected that since. The offensive line is going to be better at Oklahoma this year. And every receiver got hurt, which was something nobody could control. That wasn't the coach's fault. That wasn't the receiver's fault. That wasn't Jackson Arnold's fault. It happened, and they had to deal with it, unfortunately. But we never got a good look at what Jackson Arnold can be. So now I think he'll get a fair shake. And if he's not good, that's on him. Because he can throw to Cam Coleman and Eric Singleton Jr. He has an offensive line in front of him that should be able to protect him. Xavier Chaplin, the left tackle from Virginia Tech, the NFL folks are very high on him. Like, they've got stuff that they haven't had in the last few years, that they certainly didn't have during the Harsin era, and a lot of the late Gus era didn't have. So this is what they've been pointing toward. They just have to put it all together.
Yeah, I'm on the island with you. I think 9 basement, and I think anything above that, I could see them easily in the playoff. I could easily see them playing an SEC championship.
The question is, do they? Because this is an odd year, which means Georgia and Alabama come to them. Yeah. The question is, do they win one of those? Because I think that'll be the telling thing. If they win one of those, they're they're definitely making the playoff. They're not. If they win one of those, they're not going to wind up 8-4. Probably not even going to wind up 9-3. So that's the big question, and I don't know the answer to that yet. I'm not willing to go that far mainly because of everything I saw last year.
So going around the rest of the league, which is wild that no one is legitimately talking about Kirby in Georgia, which is like mind-boggling to me. But I think you and the Aries of the world, the Cole Kubliks of the world, the guys that follow this daily, I think everyone's on board with Oklahoma, right? I think that everyone just looks at that team, and my co-host Patrick, he thinks I have some sort of affinity for like long flowing lock quarterbacks, i.e. John Mateer. I think it's because I'm follically challenged at 42 years old. 42 years old, but
John Mateer's that dude though. Like if you watched him play at Washington State, you just believe in him. Like, he's one of those guys. He has that look about him, and he carries himself with that level of confidence. You're like, this guy can get us where we need to go. Like, Diego Pavi is like that. Mm-hmm. He doesn't look the part at all, but the second he steps out there, you're like, oh, he's got it. He's good. So
I know.
That's the thing. Mateer has that aura about him. I still don't know if it's good enough because I don't know how good their offensive line is going to be. Sure. And I think Oklahoma has the toughest schedule because of the way it lays out. And so I don't know what they're going to end up being. I suspect their defense is going to be good. But again, a lot will depend on that offensive line, especially given the teams they have to play against. Georgia, we know this. The floor for Georgia is incredibly high. The floor for Georgia is like 9 wins. But what happens? Like, they've been missing. Last year, their offensive line wasn't as good as it had been. And since those national title teams, they have not had the aliens on the interior of the defensive line that they had. So do some of those guys develop? And look, they recruit guys like that who can grow into that every year. It's just sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. If they've got some young guys that are ready, and like we were talking with Josh Pate on my show the other night about Juan Gaston, who's a freshman offensive guard from Atlanta, who is 6'7", 360. Like, not a normal human being.
Not a normal human being.
Freak of nature.
Swamp Thing.
And if he can come in and play right away and he's good, well, guess what? It may just be the new boss is the same as the old boss.
Correct. If I had to tell you, you have to pick an SEC championship game that doesn't include Georgia, Texas, or Alabama. Those 3. What is your take? I'll throw a hot take out there. Everybody be like, you're crazy as hell. Dude.
I think that's a Florida Auburn game, or a rematch of all these teams play Texas A&M. Like Florida, Auburn, and LSU all play Texas A&M, But Texas A&M is the one we're not talking about that has the talent level. And remember, they were playing Texas with a spot in Atlanta on the line last year. So if they're slightly better, there's a really good chance they're in that same position again. So Texas A&M is going to hold the key to a lot this year because I just mentioned, Auburn, Florida has those same kind of expectations of being better, maybe being a playoff team, but hoping to get into that 9-win area. LSU, obviously, it's playoff or they're going to turn on Brian Kelly really badly. But they all play A&M. So,
yeah, you just look at A&M, and once again, it's weird. No one of all of the teams within the league, Andy, and you discussed it ad nauseum over the last couple of months. We're not talking about Georgia, but gosh, like Texas A&M, relative offensive line, arguably the best in the league. Maybe Marcel takes the next step in his evolution as a quarterback. We know what the running backs look like defensively. They got dudes, and we don't discuss them relative to potentially making a run or being a top 5 team in late October, early November, which is wild. So you're right. You're absolutely right. Listen, appreciate you doing this, man. Andy, do me a favor, man. Just tell everyone where we can watch all of your good stuff, man, on On3 and all the stuff that you all and Shannon, who does a fantastic job from our area, that he does.
The On3 Sports YouTube channel is where you can watch Andy and Ari On3, which is the show I do with Ari Wasserman. We do that 5 days a week. So starting next week, we move to the in-season schedule. So it's normally Monday through Friday, but when the season starts, we go Monday through Thursday, and then we have a post-game show Saturday night at 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central that wraps up the whole day. And all the writing is at On3. I also have another show at Yahoo called the College Football Inquirer with the great Ross Dellinger and Stephen Godfrey. And you can find that wherever you get your podcasts. And also there's a YouTube channel for Yahoo Sports where it's on, and you just Google College Football Inquirer. So I am very overexposed, and but that means I'm employed, and I'll take it.
You will take it. I'll leave you on this. How many hours have you logged on college football since the new games came out?
Not as many as I'd like, because it's in my son's room, and I have to kick him off, and that usually doesn't go well for me because he'll be like, "I'll play you for it," and then he'll beat me 65-10, and then I'm out.
I got a 7-year-old, so like I still have a few years ago. He's all about Marvel Rivals.
Yeah, mine's 16, so he's much better than me at the game.
Yeah, Eddie, thanks, man. I appreciate you for doing it, man. Best of luck this season, man. We'll see you around the block.
My pleasure, Carl.
See you, buddy. Take care, man. See you, buddy. Yeah, appreciate Eddie doing it. Dude, like we had Phil Steele last week, and I told Andy, I said, we appreciate him because with our 7.5 viewers each week, he can maybe bring our numbers up. We'll listen. 5 years from now, when we're doing McAfee numbers, we'll look back and say, "Hey, Eddie, you were the first, man."
I like how you're keeping me out of these interviews, probably for the interview's sake.
Yeah, because you're gonna go crazy. Like they're eventually, like I'm hoping to talk to my homegirl Taylor Tannenbaum maybe next week. She's with the ACC Network, and they have their own game day show. They're going to be at obviously the Clemson LSU game, so we'll probably wrap with her next week. Because I already know, man, like everybody's gonna be like, this dude is insane.
I think people would like me. You don't think people would like me?
They'll love you because you're nuts.
Yeah.
But no, it'll be good. So like I've been kind of like holding out because I know that as we get into the year and we start talking to Auburn and Alabama beat writers and personalities from across the country and stuff like that, like you're gonna be throwing like tinfoil hat going crazy.
It's kind of like how you have, like, if you move schools or move jobs or anything like that, you get like a new set of friends. And they're like, well, let's learn something about your past life. And you have like an old set of friends, and you're like, oh, you guys will not. Well, you're not going to mesh well together.
This is going to be fun. Yeah, this is going to be fun. Yeah,
so you're not asking about like the pyramids. You're not asking them about
not ball.
All right,
but I mean, if you want to, like, T, she'd be all in it. Like, my man Jim Dunaway down that does the next round down in Birmingham. He would be all for that. But yeah, we'll talk to a lot of people they'll fit right up your alley. Pyramids and the Who Shot JFK and all that crazy stuff.
I mean, yeah. I mean, crazy that's a strong word, but
oh my God. Your thoughts on Andy Stable saying that Auburn's going to win double-digit football games?
Yeah, that ain't happening. That's crazy.
Does Auburn win Friday?
Yeah, I think they win Friday, but they're not winning double-digit games.
Is it close or is it a convincing win at Baylor?
No, it's close.
I think it's going to be convincing. I think
it's close.
Here's my reason why. Baylor is fantastic. Anyone that didn't have an opportunity to watch them last year missed out. Sawyer Robinson is awesome. Missed a lot of games. Still threw, I believe, over 3,500 yards. Remember, for those that forget about Dave Aranda, who was the hot name when he took the job at Baylor from LSU. People forget that team last year was 2-4. They reeled off 6 straight before dropping that bowl game. And I just think across the board, they have all of the right stuff to make they are more than capable of winning the Big 12 potentially, in my opinion, with all the pieces around. Running game strong. Got an injury running back that's tough, but they got a little bit of everything. I just think Auburn has better players, and I believe that Jackson Arnold, Hugh Freeze will not put him in. I believe Jackson Arnold will be able to make the plays that maybe he was gun shy of making a year ago at Oklahoma moving forward. And I think that'll help his confidence tenfold. I think the slant, to be able to throw the deep over, being able to speed up and run this offense in a fashion that is predicated to what Hugh Freeze has been known for, accustomed to at Liberty and at Ole Miss, and back in his days when he first started at Lambeth in AIA school. I find it hard to believe that crowd's going to go crazy and it's going to be a 2nd and 7 or a 3rd and 5, and there's going to be a dig route, or there's going to be a screen or a bubble or something out in space for Eric Singleton Jr., and he's going to make a play, or Cam Coleman or Perry Johnson or Horatio out there on the edge, or Keldrick Falk on defense, being able to come through and make the depth there, Jay Crawford of the world. I just think Auburn has better elite players than Baylor. That does not mean anything in the game of football. We all know that. But I just think you're going to see too much talent, and I think Auburn's going to raise some eyebrows. I like Auburn. I like Auburn going away in this contest. And I think that they start the year 1-0, and I think it will kind of temper the angst for Auburn fans as they head into 2 winnable games in the upcoming coming 2 weeks.
How positive are you that Jackson Arnold finishes the season as Auburn's starting quarterback?
I'm 100%.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
There's no.
I'd be utterly shocked if he's not the starter. Now I think there will be some wrinkles there for a Deuce Knight or somebody to be able to have some packages and some things to ran for them. I also believe that Hugh has confidence in Ashton as well, the transfer from Stanford, if it goes off rails. But it would really, really, really have to go off rails. It'll tell you all you need to know. Like, if his leash is short, he's out of the game. That'll tell you that it was tighter than what people give it credit for. But from what I've been told from those that were in and around that's the final scrimmage and the last couple of scrimmages, the offense looks really good. I'm interested to see this defense now and how they're able to make some stops here or there. Last thing that you want to do is have your offense having to go out and score every possession. I'm very bullish on the Auburn Tigers. I think that there are at least the basement is 9 wins. And I know that's saying a lot, and we don't know.
You also said that last year.
Yes, and I'm counting on, and the other part about it is I'm counting on them not turning the football over. Now, you have Jackson Arnold, and Jackson Arnold had a propensity for turning the football over last year, or just not having the confidence to just let it loose, right? So if you tell me that Auburn is not going to turn the football over and just and play as clean as possible in the grand scheme of a football game, 94, 96 plays, I just think that they're going to play exceptionally well this season. I think it starts, and I think they're going to put on a show on Friday. I'd be utterly shocked. Now, I think it's like a 4-point line. I'd be just utterly shocked. I think the money is on Baylor, and I think a lot of people are wanting to play that. But I like Auburn. I do.
I think Auburn's probably the one team that's going to play this weekend where you're going to know what that team is within the first quarter, how their season could go.
And I also believe I think the aggressiveness from Hugh Freeze is going to be on. Like,
if it's 17-0 at the end of the first quarter, you're like, okay, you better watch out.
This is real.
But if it's 0-0 and they've had some 3 and outs, right, and Jackson's had some iffy passes, and if Eric Singleton looks distraught on the sidelines, he could go south.
But Patrick, even then, I just don't know if people like know how good Baylor is on paper, and guys that have been there, they've done it before. I just even think like even just a hard fought win, I think does wonders for Auburn in the psyche of Jackson Arnold. You almost, you don't want this to happen. You don't want him to make any mistakes, but like adversity is going to strike. We just want to see how he responds to the adversity, whether it's Baylor, whether it's Oklahoma, the Georgia game. He's going to have it. We just need to see how he reacts to it. So, yeah, I'm rolling with Auburn in that contest. Alabama, Florida State, you like?
Alabama going away.
Going away?
Yeah.
But you think it's going to be competitive at least for a half?
No, I don't.
You do not. You think it's going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to be competitive throughout the game. I think Alabama pulls away because I don't know this for fact. I know Tommy Castellanos can play you into games and win games for you, but I also know that he can give it to the other team. And the last thing that you want to do when you're dealing with a tied secondary like that was Avian Brown and Damani Jackson and company back there, and Keon Sabb is throw it to them. Not ideal. I think Florida State is game. I think they play exceptionally well. I think Alabama may be on skis a little bit early on in that contest because you just don't know what you don't know. I think Florida State's going to be extremely aggressive, and I think it's going to be a ball game. I think it's going to be a very competitive football game. I do not have the courage to pick Florida State, even though I am all in with how well they'll play this first game. Alabama comes away with the win, but America, I am not going to be shocked if Alabama is 0-1 heading into Monday and game week for next week. The big one, 11 a.m., the Horseshoe, Columbus, Ohio, 1 versus 3. The Texas Longhorns take a trip to Ohio State. You like?
I've said this when we saw the Due to Media Days. I don't think the world is ready for the Arch Manning hype train that is going to happen this season, and I think it starts Saturday at 11 o'clock. We are about to see a season of a college football player that I don't think we have seen. Not necessarily talent-wise. I don't think Arch is going to have a Cam Newton-esque season. But if he's good and the Longhorns are good, with as much media hype as behind it, like it's something that probably we haven't seen since I would guess Cam, Tim Tebow, that type of thing.
And you know how I feel about Steve Sarkisian. You know how I just think the way that he dials it up and can stress every part of the field is impressive. I think they're going to spread everybody out. When I mean spread, I mean I don't want, because I'm not want to disrespect like ex coaches and X's and those guys, but like when I say spread out, like you're just going to you're going to clean the picture up for Arch on the road so that you just make standard throws that can kind of get you into a rhythm. Because newsflash, everybody, they have talented athletes. Like I understand, we know what Jeremiah Smith is, best player in college football. We know what Caleb Downs is, but Ryan Wingo was a 5-star kid too. I think he's good. Wisner and those backs are back there. Watch for them leaking out on offense to be able to run things out of the backfield. You want to see a game plan? Go back on YouTube heading into the weekend. Go watch Texas play at Michigan last year. I think you're going to see a lot of that. I like Texas in a big way. And when I say big way, I mean like in all relative, like a couple of 2-possession game, they win by a couple of scores. I could be wrong, and Ohio State could come out the doors and blow the doors off Texas because we don't know what that offensive line is like. Is Arch Manning running for his life? I think Sark is going to do enough to get it out of his hands enough and be able to rely on the running game or attempt to, I call them dial up running plays that are just basically swing outs, dump offs to the running back, extensions of the running game to be able to move the chains. Inexperienced guys relative to talented guys on offense, on defense for Ohio State. I just think they're going to be stressed, and I think ultimately Texas wins the game. Miami, Notre Dame, your thoughts on that game on Sunday, the night before Labor Day?
I don't know. I'll take Miami. I think Carson Beck turns it around.
I think their offensive line is excellent. I would not be surprised if this is another blowout and Notre Dame wins this game going away. CJ, it's almost like Arch relative, but at least Arch has 95 attempts in his career. I think they're going to ask CJ I say this all the time with quarterbacks, especially young quarterbacks or just quarterbacks that get comfortable, play the hits. You know, we're wrestling guys, so we just like, hey, play the hits. Like some wrestlers that are older and stuff have like their signature work rate, and they do these things, and everyone loves it. I just think the OC for Notre Dame is going to make him as comfortable as possible, and it also helps when you have arguably the best running back room in the country with Jeremiah Love and Jadeveon Price and just a number of guys back there that can help him. And the offensive line may be the best in college football. The wide receiver room is drastically changed, but I just think defensively is what's going to be the issue. I think their edge rushers are going to absolutely wreak havoc against a really good Miami offensive line. And remember, folks, people go back and look at just from a stat standpoint. Man, Miami can run the football. Man, they can run it. So it's very advantageous for Notre Dame to obviously stay gap sound, stay in their respective lanes. But Miami can run it too. I just think Notre Dame's defense is going to rule the day in this contest. I think they're favored by I don't know what they're favored by, but I think the total points over and under is under 56. I think it's going to be an under, but I think this is going to be. I think Notre Dame's going to win this game, and I think the defense is going to carry the day, and I think they're going to open some eyes as people continue to understand that this is not your mom and dad's or Carl growing up Notre Dame. They got some dudes, and a lot of them. And you're going to see some athleticism out there that fans have not been able to see from Notre Dame in quite some time. If you thought at the end of last year and the guts that they showed last year was something on the road to a national championship, I think they're locked and loaded to win. And there's no knock on against Miami, because I think Miami can be fantastic and they can win the game. Just too much Notre Dame. And I'll even go a step further. I think Notre Dame produces at least 4 sacks in this contest. At least 4. I think that could be the difference in the contest across the board. Before we leave, I know we just hit some of the bigger games, and I'll give you another sneaky one. Don't be surprised if Toledo beats Kentucky at home, first game of the year. Jason Candle and that crew does a great job. That was a 14-14 ball game a couple of years ago. Would not be surprised if Toledo comes away with that victory. Patrick, best thing that you saw in college football from week 0 for the handful of games that we had?
I liked the Kansas State, the Ireland game. I thought it was good. I
thought it was great. Story of the game, listen, Iowa State 3 for 3 on 4th down. Kansas State 1 for 3. Yep. That's the game. Beautiful 4th down conversion for Rocco Beck to his running back there out there. That was a beautiful offensive concept there to ice the game away or salt the game away there. 2 best things I saw. Kansas's offense with Jaden Daniels, that was as clean of a execution of a game from an offensive standpoint that I've seen in a long time, especially to open the year. Man, Jaden Daniels looked fantastic. I just loved everything they did offensively. They looked fantastic. Also, shout out to my man, the kicker from Hawaii. Learned to kick on YouTube. Kicked the game winner for Timmy Chang. I'm old enough to remember Timmy Chang playing quarterback and throwing for 4,000 yards a year. Now the head coach of Hawaii. The Island, the Rainbow Warriors come away with a win. Stanford,
it's bad.
Down bad. Do they win a game is the question. That looked real bad.
It looked bad. And, Andrew Luck is now the general manager there. So I like Luck a lot. You talk about a big what if in professional football, but
ooh, doggy.
Unless he's going to suit up. I don't know if he's got any more eligibility left or if his body will hold up, but unless he's suiting up, I don't know what happens.
That thing is bad over there. So we'll see what that looks like for Stanford. But man, we're excited. College football year is back. Special thanks to Andy Stables. We truly appreciate him joining us for a convo, and we'll start to continue, as I mentioned, have more guests down the line. We'll talk Labor Day. We got to talk grilling and stuff when we come back next week because OCP got it. Hold on. I forgot. Before we go, Patrick's over at the house for fantasy football. I was telling this cat about ribs. This cat, I told him all it needs is about an hour and a half, 2 hours to make some ribs. Now, I can do them either way. They can be firm and tender, or they can fall off the bone, and however you want to do them. I did the firm and tender, the quick heat. This man tried to talk about my ribs as he was eating his second plate of ribs. How good were they, Patrick?
Okay, I mean they were fine.
They were fine. They were fine. Don't do that. Don't do that.
You have to preference the people and let them know that I was about 7 Michelob's in when I was eating this food.
You were. You need something to soak it up.
Everything. Yeah. So we just need to take everything with a grain of salt.
You're right.
Here. I mean they were fine. They were not any kind of.
No, I'll never say they're gonna be the greatest
quality.
steak. No, well, like I can make the restaurant quality, but like I'm not a big smoked tender. Take the bone and shake it up. I need my real meat to be like a little firm, little firmness to it.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's dumb. That's
an
awful
that's just me. That's fine. I can eat the. I mean, I like them. You know, I'm gonna smoke some. Like this weekend, going to the lake. I'll smoke them and they'll fall off the bone and stuff. They'll be fine. But I like a little like I can bite and gotta bite into it.
I like the catfish though. You did a good job on the catfish.
I appreciate you, my brother. Fry some catfish.
It
out
also
there.
Could have been the Michelob talking. I don't know.
Did you pick? Hold on. The question is, in the midst of all the Michelob and catfish and ribs, are you comfortable with your football team, your pro fantasy football team?
Yeah, I got Derrick Henry at number 7, my favorite player of all time.
But I think you picked him. That was sentimental.
Yeah, but he's also good. He ran for 1,900 yards last year.
He did. That's fair.
My philosophy of fantasy football is, one, I want to enjoy watching the guys play that I pick. And
That's fair.
I get so much enjoyment out of watching Derrick Henry run over people when he gets to that second level of the defense. So we're going to be anchoring our fantasy team by old King Henry this year for the Ravens.
I got Christian McCaffrey and the rookie Omari and Hampton as my running backs.
So you're going to win 0 games.
We'll see. When Christian returns back to the old, he's going to be, first of all, he's going to be the comeback player of the year. Let's just get that out of the way. Like, which is weird. How are you a star like that, MVP? Like I get that you were injured, but it's like I didn't like it with Joe Burrow. That was I didn't know how. I don't feel that comeback player of the year thing. I think Omari and Hampton's going to go nuclear. He may be the offensive rookie of the year, or Tedero McMillan. I've been saying this to you forever. But no, I feel good. I feel really, really good about my team just from the wide receiver standpoint. I think those guys are going to be fantastic. I think Caleb Williams is going to throw for 5,000 yards this year with Ben Johnson. And I got his rookie tight end, Colston Loveland, who I think is going to go crazy. Much like you pick Brock Bowers, he'll be the second or third best tight end picked in fantasy football next year. So we shall see. I got to get ready for TV on this Wednesday night. Like, subscribe our podcast. We're slowly but surely growing it. Spotify, Apple iTunes, WAFF.com, our 48 Sports Zone app. You can find this everywhere. We'll have Andy's convo and interview up as well for you to take a listen to. It was super, super fun from him. We are here, folks. We'll talk college football and recap the week midweek next week. And we'll also talk a little NFL football as well and talk about grilling because I'm trying to grill all the things I'm going to pick out this weekend and then get back to my regimen. But that all starts after our football shows on Friday night. For producer Pat, I'm Carl Prather. Listen, enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Enjoy these football games. We're here, folks. College football is back. See you back here next week.